let off some steam.
Hey, how's it going? It's been way too long since the last episode, so let's get it going.
Let Off Some Steam, episode 17. Finally, after several months, we come to Fallout 3. Just like I said.
Although if you couldn't tell, the next episode is Fallout 3.
So, what is Fallout 3? Fallout 3 is an open-world first-person role-playing game. Well, I say role-playing game, but we'll get to that later. Fallout 3 comes out of a series of games. It's the third in the oh wait, oh yeah, okay. So Fallout 3 is the fifth installment in the Fallout series, followed by the sixth game, New Vegas, the seventh, Fallout Shelter, and most recently the eighth game, Fallout 4. What? It was released by Bethesda Softworks in 2008 with critical and financial success. Hell, got a Game of the Year award. How can it be bad? Even though normal players complained a lot about it, saying all kinds of shit. It's still regarded as a classic and is loved to this day.
Do I still love it to this day? Find out in the next 10 or 20 minutes. Oh shit, I'm supposed to press the button to stop recording. Oh, okay.
The actual first 60 minutes of me trying to play this game was crashes, getting rid of games for Windows, and then making it compatible for video capture, and never noticing this little cunt in the corner of my screen for the entire 37 hours of footage I recorded. Let's go back to the real first 60 minutes. Here we are in this lovely site, being born. Lovely. At this point we get to design our character. My reference for this look was that weird fat kid from Even Stevens. A fine specimen after all. Then, Mum dies and we get a time machine and we end up inside what looks to be the same place that we were last time.
Hint, hint. It's actually not.
We're in a playpen, we muck about with Daddy. Set up our stats, all with their different advantages and disadvantages. The main aspects that affect our playing experience will be strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Strength determines how much you can carry and your effectiveness with melee weapons. Perception helps with noticing things about a character to help in dialogue. Endurance signifies how much health you begin with. Charisma also helps in dialogue and haggling. Intelligence helps you with gaining extra abilities later on in the game. Agility helps you with a combat system called MATS, we'll get to that later. And finally, luck. Well, it kind of says it, it determines how lucky you are in game, whether that's in combat or even in relation to other skills like pickpocketing or dialogue. It took so freaking long. The rest of the first 60 minutes is the game allowing you to utilise and explore different potential skills. You speak to people, use charisma, intimidation, melee, small arms, and so on. It's a pretty decent introduction. A little long to be honest, but it doesn't take that much to get out of it. And if you play this game a lot, it shouldn't bother you, especially if you invest tens of hours, so just under an hour shouldn't be too bad.
So after you get to dick about, your dad leaves the vault, his cool best friend dies, everybody hates you, and, a martyr maybe wants to bone you. But does she? She doesn't. And then you leave the vault and go looking for your dad. There we go. Hold on.
I should really talk about the thing you do most of the time in this game, so I will. The thing that the game was praised most for, and I really can't understand why. So here we go. I will talk about the movement! See, a lot of the reviews went ahead to talk about walking around and exploring the land to be incredible, how the smooth movement made the whole world experience so worth it. I thought it was weird and clunky. When I was trying to stay in cover, a small tap on one of my keys would make me suddenly shift dimensions and end up on the other side of the game.
You should know by now that I'm joking. I'm actually going to talk about the combat. For real.
The combat operates in two ways, in real time, and through a very useful system called VATS, or Vault Assisted Targeting System. VATS increases the likelihood of scoring a critical hit or crippling enemies. This is extremely useful considering your early game character aims their gun like the most sober girl in Liverpool on a Saturday night. Granted, as with all the skills, when you increase any of your gun skills, your aim with the type of gun the skill suits will improve too, so this won't last forever, but holy crap does it make conserving ammo a little bit difficult. I'm going back to movement very quickly. Walking around the world did make me lose my immersion surprisingly quickly, especially in the third person. I constantly felt like my feet are floating an inch or two above the ground. I don't know how to describe it, but if you just look, it's like there's no contact in the intricacy of the ground. I just elevate and descend like, I don't even know to be honest, look at it, doesn't it just look weird? The walking is definitely something that Bethesda got lazy on. I mean, look at the rest of it, the random encounters, dialogue options, characters, weapons, why is the walking so weird and basic? I guarantee you, I can go into Unity right now and make better walking physics than Fallout 3 did. No, I can't because I dropped out of Games Design University twice for the first year. What else do we have? Well, the skills. Sometimes they have no use whatsoever. Say you're in a room with a safe, you have a feeling that there's some pretty damn good shit in there. Well, at this point, you have options. You can use your lockpick skill to... Okay, if you can't figure that out, what skill is for you, I suggest you go to special needs school. You have your science skill, so if there's a computer in the room, hopefully it's connected to the safe and you can hack it open. Or you can completely ignore your skills, rifle through every single nook and cranny in the building and find a key or passcode to open the safe, kind of making your skills entirely pointless. Even in combat, VATS makes the variety of gun skills pretty pointless. Yes, you can have a better chance of getting critical hits, but you dish out plenty of damage without having to boost your gun skills anyway. I did a pretty stupid thing and made a character using all the skills I said that were pointless. It doesn't make sense in terms of how the character grew up in an underground vault their whole life, but he's an urban survivalist, I guess. He would wear light armor, use small arms instead of energy weapons, be a good hacker and lockpicker, and a pretty high speech and barter skills, so if he was in trouble, he could talk his way out instead of shooting every bugger in the face. This did make my playthrough different in the late game compared to my former experience. I always played as characters using big old guns and heavy power armor. I, made myself almost invincible. At the start, it didn't make any difference, as I always started off with small guns and light armor, mainly because that's all I could find, so really no differences I noticed. But in the late game, actually, I'm going to contradict myself. No differences are found either. It doesn't matter which direction you take, if you use firearms, energy weapons, light armor, or heavy armor, whatever, you still end up playing the same game, because I didn't feel the need to take any more cover than I used to. The only thing that changed is walking speed and how much I could carry. That's really all I noticed. So if you're looking for substance in this game, you might as well look for it in the radioactive pools of piss everybody left everywhere. A lot of people seem to praise this game extensively for... well, everything, but it really doesn't deserve it half the time at all. Here's the final thing I wanted to mention. I can break the economy of this game. It's like stabbing a baby in the stomach. There's just no challenge. Not even morally. So there's this faction in the world called Brotherhood Outcasts. We'll get to that later. That ask you to bring them energy weapons in exchange for health boosts or money or something. The most logical thing to do would be to ask them for health boosters, but because there are energy weapons everywhere, I basically became immortal. Or if I needed money, I'd sell some of the health boosts because I had literally hundreds of them. I became the god of the wasteland. There you go, that's how you break the game. Gameplay done. I actually have a lot of positive to say about the visual design of Fallout 3. It has a really nice diesel-punky / art deco design, almost like an above-the-surface Rapture from Bioshock. Clearly they devoted a lot of time and effort, even love, into the art style of the world. All the robots clearly have their influences, but look beautifully unique. The cars look fantastic, even though they're abandoned and rusted. All the houses look cute in a way, and you can tell how they used to look in the past with a 50s sitcom feel. All the guns look decent, and again, you can tell where the inspirations come from. The Chinese assault rifle is like an AK variant or a Galil, the normal assault rifle is like a G3, Chinese pistol like a Mauser pistol, I can go on and on. The buildings are all heavily based on Art Deco and the Atomic era industrial style of offices that were prevalent in, again, the 50s. The guns all have a nice and decent array of sound effects, that makes them distinct, so if you get shot at, you immediately know what you're up against. The voice acting isn't terrible either. I thought it was all done quite well. I feel like the actors who voiced the ghouls smoked plenty of cigarettes to do that amazing voice. All jokes aside, I did like the voice acting. A lot of people sounded distinct, except for the security guards, of course. I could probably make a bigger variation of voices than the 5 people they hired for this game. I've seemed to have lost my contacts in that pile of red shit over there. Can you help me? I told you I don't want cocaine! Have at you! And now finally, why is everything covered in shit? I mean really, look at this. Every character, every bottle, every monster, especially every toilet, looks like 1,000 people walked about with a bucket of muck and rubbed everything by hand. Even the interior of the vaults look weirdly dirty. It just doesn't sit right with me. So much love went into this world, and then suddenly the art department decided, no, the volume of kitchen grease is enough. We need to smear everything. Todd Howard is a money-grabbing dick. Oh, it's not part of the review, I just wanted to say that. So the world is really interesting. In the mid-21st century, an alternate future where the Soviet Union continued to exist and the tensions of the Cold War increased 100-fold. A lack of resources causes China to invade Alaska, and the United States retaliates in full defense. China loses, I think. And in 2077... nuclear war, comrade! China's fucked, America's not so fucked. But about 200 years later, here we are.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
Alright, fine, so the world in this game doesn't make any sense to me. Whatsoever. 200 years, and there are things still there left to scavenge, and even though humanity has everywhere. There is somehow no agriculture, no citywide plumbing, that should definitely have been built by now. New Vegas, NCR. No organised system of government, nothing. Considering how humanity is, we should have adapted and developed things on a far larger scale, and not in small pockets like what is shown in the game, but on a far larger scale. Next is the main factions of the world, or at least the ones that affect gameplay the most. First off, the Brotherhood of Steel. These are the good guys. Their origins range from the West Coast, mainly California, where they were elitist tech hoarders. They spread across the US, and one fraction that exists are those in what is left of Washington, D.C. The East Coast Brotherhood are nice. They collect tech, but also try to help the general stragglers of the wasteland by assisting in something called Project Purity. We'll get to that. And yeah, they're not dicks like the other factions, who are perfect, just the way they are. Next we have the Enclave. This is the remnants of the US governments, and spoilers coming up, led by President John Henry Eden. Their belief is that modern humanity is disgusting, and the only way to bring back the old spirit of America is with things like baseball, attending church, and committing genocide against the quote-unquote impure members of the human race, which go all the way from ghouls and super mutants to those normal human beings. Nuclear Nazis. Great, exactly what we needed. Minor factions include the Brotherhood Outcasts, Brotherhood members that left the East Coast faction and went back to the original ways of the West Coast Brotherhood. There are also Raiders, remnants of the Chinese spies, the Family, the Railroad, the Regulators, and Talon Company. The minor factions can give you a couple of fun quests, but other than that, none of them affect the main quest or the game world beyond a tiny corner of the wasteland. So yeah, they offer a nice distraction. They don't do anything else, really. So the story starts with your dad escaping what you call home, the vault. You also escape where you can head to Megaton, get distracted for a bit by Moira Brown, lovely woman, then you head to River City and get distracted by this guy. Bit of a dick. After that, you have to go to Vault 87 and meet Fawkes. Great guy. I get kidnapped by the Enclave, I destroy the facility, meet the president, destroy the president, go out to that other vault where dad is, get dad dies, run back to River City, cry. My dad's dead now and I don't know what to do. Am I going to foster care? We then go with some friends from the Brotherhood and then America's prime toy that throws nuclear footballs, and we get to beat up the Enclave to take back that Project Purity I mentioned earlier. I forgot to talk about it? Oh, okay. Right, well, your dad is a scientist who worked on something called Project Purity that promised to clean the waters of the capital wasteland in order to make it more likely for everyone to survive. Anyway, back to the story. I give those Enclave buggers a damn good thrashing, and then I'm given a choice. Do I switch on the thing, or do I make this bitch do it? Well, the game says you're a good little boy if you do, but if you tell the lady to do it, you're a massive knob. Anyway, so the story didn't really give me any opportunities to properly roleplay. Yeah, sure, you have morality choices, but all they do is give you a in-the-moment moral dilemma. You still follow the same story regardless of what save file you use. So really, the game story is shallow as hell. You're not allowed to roleplay at all. You're his kid, he's your dad, you have to go find him and you can't decide how. It has to be the Brotherhood that beats the Enclaves. You have no effect on the world you're occupying at all. You know, really boring story, to be honest with you. Seeing as my game stopped working after finishing Mothership Zeta, I only got to play 3 add-ons. Broken Steel, Point Lookout, and Mothership Zeta. So the Broken Steel add-on is okay. The story is really boring. It continues where you left off because the developers thought it was a good idea to stop the game entirely in an open-world role-playing game.
Great idea, guys.
The story of this add-on is that it's a couple of weeks after the incidents of the end of the main story, so you and your Brotherhood buddies, after the successful initiation of Project Purity, now hunting down whatever is left of those Enclave assholes. You know, it was okay. Gave me this sweet Medic's power armor, which, you know, didn't need armor training, and kept ruining my stealth, which was hilarious, so I'm actually okay with that.
Gear up, soldier!
Point Lookout takes you to this island of hillbillies, cults, and ghouls. An English ghoul gets you to destroy some research or something and, you know, lets him be rich or whatever. I don't remember. I don't care either. But you can also go and join the cult and you can get pretty fucking high too. This add-on boasts that thing you remember seeing online but could never pinpoint where it came from. Yeah, it's from Fallout 3. This add-on is a lot of fun and does open up the Fallout world unless you see more of what survived the war. It's pretty sweet. Mothership Zeta is just crazy. You get abducted after you find a mystery radio signal, track it to find a crashed alien spaceship. When you're abducted, you meet people from many time periods in history, including a cowboy and a samurai. With your new, strange friends, you attempt to escape from the craft, killing many short aliens that look like kids in costumes. This is just like last year's Halloween! I never finished it because I forgot to save throughout the whole thing and then died and ended up in a point before I got abducted after an hour's worth of gameplay. Yeah, from what I played, the add-ons were a lot of fun. I enjoyed them overall, except for Broken Steel. That one was pretty boring. Anyway, yeah, you should totally play all these if you get the Fallout 3, purely because of the weird factor of the whole thing. Final thoughts. Well, I had a good time in this game, but I didn't get an opportunity to roleplay. It had a lot of problems. To roleplay in a game, the game has to somehow change because of your actions. New Vegas did this very well, but Fallout 3 falls immeasurably short. Like a midget. Let me give you an example. So there's a quest called Trouble on the Home Front. After you leave the vault, the rest of the residents start a feud between each other about leaving or staying, because beforehand the dwellers didn't know that the world outside their little cozy hole was not entirely fried. You have a few choices, and in all my playthroughs since this game has existed, none of them have made a difference. Your choices to deal with this are keep the vault closed through either just ignoring the quest, go in, take some stuff and get out, that will lock the vault after you leave, or persuade your old friend Amata to keep the vault closed anyway. You can open the vault through either killing the leader or convincing him to step down and get his daughter Amata to take his place. The third option is to sabotage the vault entirely by disabling the water cleaning system, forcing everyone to leave. So out of the three options, which one does the biggest dent to the rest of the wasteland? Well, none of them really. It was already impossible for you to re-enter the vault during the rest of the game, and getting the vault open to allow people to come and go as they please still does nothing as you're told never to return. This is a massive problem. As a character in this world, I want real choices and I want them to change things. I can't choose to side with the Enclave except for one small part where you still have to work with the Brotherhood anyway. It makes no difference what you do. Fallout 3 is not a role-playing game. It's an action game in disguise as a role-playing game. But saying that, it's still really fun to play. Sure, you don't get to do what the game was originally aiming for, but to go around shooting monsters and sneaking around all the old buildings where raiders could be around any corner, it's still pretty fun. Seeing as the Game of the Year edition is pretty cheap on Steam, you're not really losing anything if you play through it a handful of times, but if you're looking to roleplay, go for Fallout New Vegas.
So, in summary, it's decent, really. I mean, it doesn't cost too much. There's plenty of things to explore. The roleplay aspect is really lost, but otherwise, I mean, I don't see what you're missing out on. To be honest, it's a pretty decent game. Also, Feral Ghoul Reavers can go suck a dick. I give it a rusted, irradiated barrel of feces out of 7. It's pretty cheap, so give it a go.